Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you all. So welcome to the session 4 of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Today we will be finishing Samadhi Pada. So we will be covering the last few verses from the first chapter. And we are going to start with the second chapter, that is Sadhana Pada. And we'll take first 9 sutras from that chapter. So before we do the invocation, let's begin with the Shanti mantras, the invocation mantras. Sit with your eyes closed, adopt Chin Mudra, keep your back straight and close your eyes. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Ganana Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtharajan Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashruण्वन्नोतिभिः Sidasadanam Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajeebhirvajineevati Dheenam Vitryavatu Ano Divo Bruhatah Parvatada Saraswati Yajata Gantu Yajñam Havan Devi Jujushana Ghritachi Shagman no Vachamushati Shrunotu Vagdevyai Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Gently brush your palms on each other. Place them on your eyes. Give gentle massage all over your face. And with few blinks, slowly open your eyes. So let's begin with the invocation to Maharishi Patanjali. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Okay. So in the last session, we came up to the types of or the layers or the states of uplifting the consciousness, and they were nirvitarka, savitarka, nirvitarka, nirvichara, savichara, right? So we stopped at 1.45 sutra, and we have seen that the yogi, when he goes through these states of consciousness or the states of samadhis, right from the gross object to the subtle or subtlest object, he can know all the particulars of that object, or he can instantly focus his mind on any given object. So he goes through the various states. this sutra tells that what kinds of these samadhis are. Ta eva sabija samadhihi. Ta eva. So they all indeed, the contemplations, the samadhis, they are with seed. That is the sabija samadhis. So all savikalpa or savitarka, nirvitarka, savichara, nirvichara, all these samadhis are categorized under sabija samadhi. So each of the above kinds of samadhis are with seed or sabija. Bija is the seed. Now here there are various interpretations of this word bija. This seed or bija can be interpreted as object of meditation, because all the time we need a certain prop to hold our mind upon. And that can be interpreted as bondage, correct? Because we are bound or limited or get identified with various things of Prakriti, that is body, mind, intellect, thoughts, emotions, feelings. They are all are binding, and we are still or our mind goes on through certain vrittis related to the elements of Prakriti. So because of this, there is still possibility of getting distraction. It involves the activity of mind. Even if it is channelized in one direction, still there are chances of getting distractions. So till this point, what Patanjali is saying, even to reach this stage is not easy. It takes years and years of practice or birth after birth practice. But depending on your or the how your consciousness is evolved, depending on that, a yogi reaches at this stage where the mind is still occupied or holding on with certain object or a seed. Still the vrittis are coming in between and distracting the mind. But also it shows that there is higher possibility. Okay. So ta eva sabija samadhi. And then the next sutra is Nirvichara Vaisharadye Dhyatma Prasadaha. Nirvichara Vaisharadye Dhyatma Prasadaha. Nirvichara, where it's the last stage of all these states of samadhis, non-reflective. Vaisharadye, at that stage, a yogi's chitta gets clarity, or it is at its highest state of excellence or stability in the subtlest object of meditation, that is the state of Vaisharadya. Adhyatma, supreme self or Atman, and Prasadaha reaches its purity or it shines forth. The Atman or the self shines forth, or it has become very calm. So this Adhyatma Prasadaha is like, when we go to a temple, we always get prasada, right? So all the efforts, all your sadhana of doing practice of your samadhi or meditation will give you prasada, and that is adhyatma prasada. What's a beautiful word. So at this point, the yogi gets clarity about what? Clarity about suffering comes from Prakriti, that is from body, mind, etc. And happiness comes from pure consciousness, that is the Atman, Adhyatma, or the Supreme Self. That clarity is very much needed. What happens with all of us, we go outside or we find or seek a happiness outside. Why? Because of our ignorance. But because of the sadhana, because of the meditation, because of reaching higher and higher stages of samadhi to nirvichara samadhi, this excellence, that yogi can experience, he can differentiate. Okay, so if I still want to suffer, or if still I am suffering, my mind, my chitta is still bound to the materialistic things or the external world or the elements of prakriti. So this clarity slowly starts unfolding. And even it, we know it by reading scriptures, but we are not able to apply it when it comes to, the point of application. It becomes really hard. We still want happiness from our partner, from our children, from our job, from our career, from our success. But at some point, it might lead to suffering. That clarity we should always have within. And as this clarity comes, it needs to be maintained for longer and longer period of time. And when it is maintained, it leads to a very special series of thought, a particular unit of special series of thought, which is the next sutra. So what is the reward of doing your meditation? Adhyatma prasadaha, that clarity. And this clarity will give you the further series of thoughts. Before that, what even Shri Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita is Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabaha. Means at the end of many births, the wise man comes to me. Who is a wise man? Who has reached the Nirvichara Samadhi, whose chitta has a complete clarity. Realizing that all this is Vasudeva, the innermost self, such a great soul, Mahatma, is very hard to find. It's very rarest. In crores and crores of people, only one person can reach to me. That's what Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And the one who reaches at that stage, what he gains is Ritambhara Tatra Prajna. Again, this is the most important or the famous sutra of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Ritambhara. Rita is the absolute truth. Bhara, which bears that absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? Happiness comes from within. Supreme self or the inner self is the reality. Tatra, there, prajna, wisdom, consciousness. So this is Ritambhara Prajna, or the absolute true consciousness. He can experience that, or that consciousness or that self shines forth. But again, this is Pradnya. So it is also termed as one of the vrittis. It is the highest state of intelligence. Okay. It is also a vritti which holds the truth, but it is a helping or supporting vritti. This vritti is not distracting. This vritti is not leading to any suffering, but it is the foundation creating to go beyond even that vritti. Okay, ritam bhara tatra pradnya. Pradnya is the higher intelligence or the wisdom, receiving realities from both sides. Now, at this higher intelligence or wisdom, you're getting realities from both the sides of Purusha and Prakriti, and you're able to distinguish between them. This Ritambhara Prajna is also termed as Dharma Megha Samadhi. You might have heard this word, Dharma Megha. Megha are the clouds. Dharma is again truth. So those clouds who shower the truth upon your consciousness on deserving chitta is very, very important. Not all of us understand it, correct? So a yogi or a sadhaka who has done a lot of sadhana, his chitta is capable chitta, deserving chitta, that clouds sprinkle pure nature of Purusha, that pure consciousness he can experience. Right now we are reading in the books. We are reading or getting to know from the sutras. Okay, something like this exists. Pure consciousness. Have I experienced it? Not yet. So the entire sadhana to experience it personally. So the nature of vrita is explained in the next sutra. What kind of this wisdom is? How it is? It is Shrutanumana Pradnyabhyamanya Vishaya Vishesharthatvat. So, Shruta is the study of scriptures or the verbal testimony. In scriptures, whatever we read is coming from the direct experience of authoritative people, maybe yogis, rishis, realized people. That's why it is called as verbal testimony. Whatever they are saying, we need to have faith in it. Then anumana, the inference, I see the smoke and I infer there can be chance of fire. This is inference. Pradnyabhyam, from the knowledge of both Shruta and Anumana. Anya, different, but this Ritambara Pradnya is different from the knowledge we are getting from Shruta and Anumana. Because now whatever jnana I am getting into my meditation is not coming from scriptures and not coming from Anumana. That is the beauty. All the adhyatmic journey, what is the beauty of this? What is the beauty of spiritual journey? Whatever knowledge you're getting is coming from within, not from scriptures, not you have heard from somewhere, or not you have read from somewhere, not out of inferences. That Vishaya domain truth, Vishesha Arthatvat, it's very particular, it's very special, it's very unique. Whatever we are getting information through the senses, eyes, ears, touch, that is limited. That is also a perception, but that knowledge is limited. Here, this unique or special or particular knowledge, what we are getting is through the yogic perception and no sensory perception. Okay, so it is called as yogaja pratyaksha. This special truth, this Ritambhara Prajna, I am not getting from any external source, but from within, is totally different from knowledge gained by hearing or study of scriptures of inference that we need to understand. Okay, so these sutras are getting cleared. Okay, and then what happens? A yogi who has reached this Ritambhara Prajna, Tajjas Sanskaronya Samskara Pratibandhi. Tajjas Samskaronya Samskara Pratibandhi. Gradually, what happens is, when, there is a cycle of karma. If there is a vritti, it's leading to action, karma. Whatever action we do, it has to have samskara, impression on our chitta. That samskara will lead to certain desires, and those vasanas or tendency again lead to certain vrittis. So this vritti samskara chakra goes on and on and on and on and on throughout our lives. Birth after birth. We are caught up in this cycle. Tad, that, jah, born of or produced by samskara, samskaro, subliminal impressions. Anya, other, pratibandhi, wipes out, replaces. Vritti, samskara chakra, ends only Ritambhara Prajna and samskara left. So, here samskara chakra ends, but at Ritambhara or at this stage, Ritambhara Prajna, only this one single vritti is there and related to its samskara. But because of that, all other samskaras are wiped out. The impression is produced by this samadhi, the samskara which is produced by this samadhi wipes out all other impressions. And that is the nature of Ritambhara Prajna. So this Ritambhara or Dharma Megha Samadhi, we can say, is the topmost state of Samadhi, but still not the end. There is still higher possibilities. But we have seen not many people can reach at this stage. We have seen that, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, as Shri Krishna says, only rarest person, that Mahatma, that great soul can reach to me if he is able to cut off all the vrittis and only Ritambhara Prajna remains. And because of this powerful vritti, all the other impressions are wiped out. So this chakra gets ended. Again, this is very, very important stage of Samadhi. Otherwise, our mind or our chitta is only creating vrittis and samskaras, and accordingly we are doing actions and getting tossed between our desires. All right. And this is the last sutra of Samadhipada. Tasyapi nirodhe sarvanirodhan nirbija samadhihi. Tasyapi nirodhe sarvanirodhan nirbija samadhihi. Tasya, of that api, even, nirodhe, upon being wiped out, or upon the restraint, even when that vritti or impression gets restrained, sarva, all nirodha, from being wiped out due to restraint, nirbija, that is a seedless samadhi, contemplation, is reached. When even this impression is wiped out, Ritambhara Prajna, you have to even get rid of that vritti and its impression. Every impression is totally wiped out, and there is seedless or nirbija samadhi. We have seen the various stages of samadhi, which are termed as or under the category of sabija samadhi. Then a yogi reaches at a state of ritambhara prajna. After ritambhara prajna, also he has to give up on that vritti and samskara. Then only a yogi reaches even the higher stage of samadhi, and that is called as nirbija samadhi. Okay. So here, iti Patanjali virachite yoga sutre prathama samadhi padaha. Do you want to share or discuss anything so far from the first chapter of Yoga Sutras, Samadhi Pada? So quickly, we'll repeat these sutras. Ta eva sabijas samadhihi. Ta eva sabijas samadhihi. निर्विचारवैशारद्येऽध्यात्मप्रसादः निर्विचारवैशारद्येऽध्यात्मप्रसादः ऋतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा ऋतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमानप्रज्ञाभ्यामन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् श्रुतानुमानप्रज्ञाभ्यामन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तज्जः संस्कारोऽन्यः संस्कारप्रतिबन्धी तज्जः संस्कारोऽन्यः संस्कारप्रतिबन्धी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधान्निर्बीजः समाधिः तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधान्निर्बीजः समाधिः. Okay, any questions so far? Whatever we have discussed from the first chapter. Else, then we'll begin with the next chapter. Now, we might get overwhelmed, you know. These such a higher stages of samadhi is being discussed in the first chapter of Yoga Sutras. So, a person who is very beginner on this path or having no clue about all these, topics or practices, what being discussed in the first chapter, it's very, very common to get discouraged or lose interest or feel overwhelmed that it's very impossible for us. Hmm? But what Patanjali is addressing to the various uh, categories of people or people having different capabilities. So the first chapter of Samadhi Pada is for those people who are at a very advanced stage, who can literally practice abhyasa and vairagya into their day-to-day life. Abhyasa, the continuous, regular, uninterrupted practice, sadhana, and highest stage of detachment, vairagya. Is it possible for everyone? Very difficult, correct? So the second chapter of Sadhanapada deals with another two types of sadhanas. The first one is Kriya Yoga and the second one is Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? So the different kinds of thought forms, as we have seen, Nirvichara and Savichara, Nirvikalpa and everything, the various practices to control them, we have seen that a person who is stressed, what are the physical and mental symptoms? Dukkha Dharmanasya or Alasya, Angamejayatva. We have seen these sutras. And then he has also given the various ways of emotional culturing, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, etc. So these are the practices to control or how to deal with the people or society or community around us, showing indifference, showing friendliness, and then different kinds of super conscious experiences, correct? Sabija, Nirbija Samadhis, culminating in the highest experience of Nirbija Samadhi. So whatever it is being discussed in Samadhi Pada will definitely, if one practices it, will definitely one can reach to the highest state of consciousness, that is Nirbija Samadhi. That is the seedless contemplation. But it is not that easy to get into Samadhi. So in this chapter, Patanjali tells the student not to get frightened, but to prepare himself or herself by laying the proper foundation. Then gradually build until that level is reached. For this, Patanjali gives a few simple directions. Okay. So you must have known the Ashtanga Yoga, which we will be covering later in the second chapter. Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So this is the 8-limbed yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. But before that, he starts the first sutra of Sadhana Pada by giving us the sadhana of Kriya Yoga. Okay. People, depending on what karmas you have done in the previous birth or what sadhana you have done in previous birth, if you're born with a mind which is calm, which is in harmony, which is pious, you're more dominant with sattva guna, for them, the first chapter or the first practices are there. Abhyasa and Vairagya. These minds are called as Samahita Chitta. People with Samahita or Sama, or we can say in even Bhagavad Gita, it is given the characteristics of sthita prajna. For such advanced people, these practices are. But few people have distracted minds, vyuthita chitta. So for them, people having vyuthita chitta or the distracted minds, it's very hard to focus on, or it's always confused between fighting between conflicts. It's still getting pulled with the materialistic pleasures. For them, Patanjali is giving the next uh, set of practices, which is called as Kriya Yoga. And what are they? Tapaswadhyayeshvara pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Now, you have heard Kriya Yoga in various other contexts as well, but here Kriya Yoga of Patanjali is of Tapas Swadhyay and Ishvara Pranidhan. You will see many people are doing Kundalini awakening and giving the name or under the title Kriya Yoga. That is completely different from what Patanjali is discussing in here, Yoga Sutras. He talks about three major practices, and that is Tapaha, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidham. Now, what is tapa? What is swadhyaya? What is Ishwari Pranidhan? Again, it is very, very important to know for a sadhaka. Whenever it comes to the external expression, right? When you want to express yourself, what are the three mediums through which we express? That is our body, our speech, and our mind. Correct? And for these three tools of self-expression, Patanjali gives the sadhana. For your body, for our speech, and our mind. Now, tapa. Again, this word tapas can be interpreted or taken in various ways. During Mahakumbha Mela, you must have seen many Naga sadhus doing hardest levels of penance, standing on one leg or raising one arm for last 10-15 years, or not eating anything, just drinking milk or water, that's it. That is also tapas. But what Patanjali wants to specify, or what he means by word tapas, is a kind of discipline you give it to your body. A discipline. Okay. So for a householder or for a common man or for a person who is still engaged in doing his day-to-day activities, still having various desires, such person, what kind of tapas he can do? Maybe going to bed and waking up same time, fixed time, or your diet, whatever you eat with happy mind, or whatever is cooked, the food which is cooked is fresh, is not stale, or it is prepared with love, of hygienic quality. You're not eating too much, you're not eating too less, observing fasting in between, exercising regularly. So these kinds of practices Patanjali is aiming at by word tapas, and sticking to it, or not consuming any toxic objects. So various kinds of disciplines at our level also we can do it. Or committed to our sadhana. So these things come under the word tapas. Swadhyaya is for our speech. So studying scriptures or by grace, if you have got Guru Diksha, if you have received a mantra from a Guru, keep chanting that mantra or do japa. So all these practices come under Swadhyaya. Even if you are not taken Diksha, but you are chanting prayers regularly, committing to the practice of mantra chanting or doing japa or doing meditation or doing any practice, be committed to it for lifetime. Not 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years and then give up. No. So Swadhyaya is what you are talking, expressing, what words you are using, what kind of books you are reading, what kind of stuff you are absorbing into your mind. Accordingly, you will speak. Correct? So depending on your Swadhyaya, your mind is fed. You will speak the words accordingly, and your actions are also depending on that. So there is a link between Kaya, Vacha and Manasa. Kaya is body, Vacha is your speech, Manasa is the mind. If they three are in harmony, definitely a person is going to progress. But if there is a disharmony between these three, he is going to experience stress and distraction. That is but obvious. And then Ishvara, that supreme being or absolute reality, is termed as Ishvara by Patanjali, and to that highest power surrendering to place before. You know what happens when a person is on path of sadhana, or even he is not doing any kind of sadhana, he is successful in his career, in his life. What increases along with it is his or her ego. But when we want to progress on spiritual path, the first and foremost thing is to surrender that ego. If I is big, I am not going to experience the highest reality. To experience that highest reality, I myself has to become small. So that Ishvara Pranidhana, we have to completely surrender. So Pranidhanani, Ani means indicating the three as a group. Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana is Kriya, that is in action, in practice, in progress, is that yoga. So accepting pain as a help for purification, study of spiritual books, and surrender to the Supreme Being constitute yoga in practice, yoga in action. Yoga is not only remaining in the books, but it is we are applying in our day-to-day life in form of tapas, swadhyaya, and Ishvara pranidhana. So about this, we are going to see in this chapter. The second sutra is why we are practicing this Kriya Yoga. Samadhi bhavanartha klesha tanu karanarthascha. Samadhi bhavanartha klesha tanu karanarthascha. Why? For what reason we are practicing Kriya Yoga? For attainment of Samadhi and Klesha Tanu. Klesha are all the sufferings. Tanu means to minimize them. Very beautiful. when here, as we are chanting this sutra, Samadhi Bhavanarthaha, this visarga is getting followed with the ka sound. So the visarga sound will become ka. Samadhi Bhavanarthak Klesha Tanu Karanarthascha. Samadhi is the contemplation, bhavana is the conception, act of producing or effecting, artha to strive or obtain, and afflictions. In the next couple of sutras, we are going to see in the detail what are these kleshas, what are these afflictions or troubles or obstacles. To minimize all our obstacles in the path of sadhana, or to minimize all our physical mental sufferings, for that we are practicing kriya yoga. And when these kleshas will be minimized, definitely we will reach the state of samadhi. So they help us minimize obstacles and attain samadhi. And now he lists down these kleshas. Avidya asmita raga dveshabhiniveshah kleshaha. Similarly, here visarga sound will be ka. Avidya asmita raga dveshabhiniveshah kleshaha. What are these kleshas? Avidya, ignorance. Asmita, ego. I-ness, raga, attachment, dvesha, hatred, abhinivesha, clinging to bodily life or this life, kleshaha, these are the afflictions. So if you see in this picture, if avidya, if we consider the root of the tree, or avidya becomes the ground on which all other kleshas are sprouted. Avidya is the root cause. Ignorance, wrong knowledge about our own being, that is avidya. Because of this wrong knowledge, it will lead to asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. If we understand this, and if we contemplate on this, and if we keep on applying in our life, success is definite. Because Patanjali has given very systematic method, and if a sincere student of yoga practices this, definitely he is going to succeed in his sadhana. So, what is avidya? See, Patanjali doesn't leave anything, any gap. He opens up the topic and then he explains everything in the greatest depth. Avidya kshetramuttaresham prasuptatanu vicchinno dharanam. How is this avidya? Avidya is ignorance. That kshetra of avidya, that field of avidya, uttaresham, for other kleshas, it becomes the field, prasupta. Now, these kleshas can be in different categories. Either prasupta, that is dormant, tanu, feeble, vichhinna, obstructing, intercepted, or udaranam, completely active, strong. They are either dormant, weak, obstructing, or very strong kleshas. Ignorance is the field, is the ground for other mentioned after it. Asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha will sprout or will give rise to these kleshas. So, avidya being the basic klesha, they can be, if we go through these kleshas, I-ness, I amness, strong likes, strong dislikes, and clinging to life. They can be either in these four categories. Prasupta tanu vichchinna udaranam. Strong, weak, obstructing, or very strong. Dormant, weak, obstructing, or very strong. Either these categories, we always go through these kleshas, knowingly or unknowingly. And that's why if you're a practitioner of yoga, awareness. If we are practitioners of yoga, it helps us to be mindful, alert, aware. Okay, I'm going through this strong like. If I'm not aware, I'm getting, uh, we are just influenced with it and we don't have any control over it. So practice pranayama, practice asanas, practice surya namaskaras, practice whatever you enjoy, and that will help to improve the sense of awareness. And that awareness will help us to understand where we are in terms of kleshas, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Now he starts explaining each and every klesha individually. So now what is avidya? Anitya shuchi dukhanatmasu nitya shuchi sukhatma khyatir vidya. So what is avidya? Whatever is anitya, impermanent, we take it as permanent. We act like this life is permanent. This body is permanent. Correct? So I'm taking whatever is impermanent to be permanent. Whatever is impure, ashuchi, to be pure. We keep on working on beautification of the body because we feel there is beauty lies in the body. But that is in fact impure. But we take it as pure. And then dukkha, the pain producing, we take it as pleasure producing. We keep on satisfying our senses because we feel if I keep on satisfying my senses, I am gaining pleasure. But the more and more we keep on satisfying our senses, it will not lead to sukha, but in fact, dukkha. And anatmasu as a atma. So this, nothing is constant. Anatma, or whatever is not real, we take it as real. The worldly things, what we are experiencing, we take it as real, absolute truth. But that is the relatively true. Correct? So there lies the lack of knowledge. What we are getting to know from these Yoga Sutras, that how ignorant we are every moment throughout these years. Ignorance is regarding the impermanent as permanent, the impure as pure, the painful as pleasant, and non-self as the self. All these years I have acted like this. I am deeply rooted into this ignorance, into this avidya. And that is the root cause of all our sufferings. If we want to overcome all the sufferings of our life, We only and only need to work on this avidya, because that is the kshetra, that is the field in which it lead to producing all the other kleshas. And then what is asmita, the next klesha? Drukadarshan shaktyorekaatmatevasmita. What is asmita? Druka and darshana. These are, we can say, Druka is one type of consciousness or awareness, and darshana is one step lower to Druka consciousness. Druka and darshana. We can say Druka is the pure consciousness, and darshana is the sensory perception, that level of consciousness. And the power of both, because of the awareness or the consciousness which is trapped through these senses, because of that, this druka, the pure consciousness, get mixed up. And then that creates the self-identity. Because my pure consciousness is trapped in this body, is trapped or mixed or become little impure or less intense because of the mind and chitta vrittis, it's leading to what? I am. So I am Aston, I am Kusuma, I am Penny, I am Nutan, I am Leena, I am Ketki. These individualized components have started becoming. And that is asmita, the sense of dualities. Egoism is the identification, as it were, of the power of the seer Purusha with that of the instrument of seeing. My eyes are seeing, okay, there is a cloud, there is a tree, there is a bird. But what power the eyes have got to be able to see it, perceive it, that drika, that pure consciousness is giving light to my eyes to see something. But where my consciousness is trapped into my eyes and not to the pure consciousness. And that's why that individuality comes in. I am rich, I am poor, I am fat, I am thin, I am successful, I am not, whatever it is. You're different, I am different. This community, that community, this religion, that religion. We have to always remember the Vedas are apaurushya. They are beyond judgment. They are beyond caste, creed, religion. Who has given this? Human beings. Because our consciousness is getting trapped into more and more and more limited, constricting things. But what these scriptures are talking about, that supreme consciousness, that ultimate reality, which is beyond all these limitations. So the first klesha which give rise to from ignorance because of my wrong knowledge about my own self, the sense of identification comes in, and that is asmita. Okay. And then comes the two most, important kleshas. We get tossed in between these two, raga and dvesha. Sukhanushai ragaha, dukkhanushai dveshaha. What is sukha? Pleasure producing. Whatever, anushai, follow with So whenever I experience sukha, I immediately get attached to it. Attachment is that which follows identification with pleasurable experiences. Maybe from a person, thing, situation, whatever it is, I get attached to it. And then dukkha, the aversion, or from whatever I feel pain. So the aversion is that which follows identification with painful experiences. So if I don't like a particular person because he has hurt me in the past, I have strong dislike, aversion towards that person, thing, or situation. We always go through this. And Patanjali terms it as kleshas. If we go through strong likes and dislikes, attachment and aversion, it's only going to give us suffering. And then the last klesha, abhinivesha. Swarasavahi vidushopi tatharudhobhiniveshaha. Swa, its own rasa, potence, its own swa. Rasa is the potency, and vahi, that is flowing. That stream of potency flowing right from the microscopic being to the biggest creature, right from insect to elephant or dinosaur, whatever you think, all the uh, creatures, this one kind of tendency flows on its own potency, on its own force, even through vidusha, means who is the wise person, even in him clinging to life is there. Vidusha is the wise, or who has read scriptures, or Veda Pandit, or whoever you termed it as the highest wise person, that Vidusha, api, even in that tatharudho, that is rooted, established. What is abhiniveshaha? Intentness, clingingness to life. It's very hard to give up on this life, this body, isn't it? Why? Even I have attachment to my body. Why? Because of asmita. Why? Because of ignorance. So this will not go easily. This abhinivesha, clinging to life, flowing by its own potency. Why? Due to past experiences, exist even in the wise. Because I must have gone through a very terrifying experience in my past birth. The scary, fearful experience of losing this life, losing this body. That's not a very good experience. And because of that past experience, whatever we go through, the impressions are stored in the chitta. With that chitta, we are born again. And that's why this clinging to life is still there in all of us. And that is called as abhiniveshaha. Swarasavahi vidushopi tatharudhobhiniveshaha. Okay, so here we are going to stop where now Patanjali has begun with in the next chapter, Sadhana Pada, with Kriya Yoga, Tapaswadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana, and then why we are doing it? For attainment of Samadhi and to minimize the obstacles or afflictions in our life. And then he starts giving and explaining all the five kleshas, that is avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. That is what we have covered in the second chapter. So let's chant these sutras. So the first sutra, तपस्वाध्यायेश्वर प्रणिधानानि क्रिया योगः तपस्वाध्यायेश्वर प्रणिधानानि क्रिया योगः. Why we are doing it? Samadhi bhavanartha klesha tanukaranarthascha. Samadhi bhavanartha klesha tanukaranarthascha. And then, what are these kleshas? Avidya, smitara, ragadveshabhinivesha kleshaha. Avidya, smitara, ragadveshabhinivesha kleshaha. What is avidya? Avidya kshetramuttaresham prasuptatanu Avidya kshetramuttaresham prasuptatanu These kleshas can be dormant, weak, strong, or obstructing. And then what is avidya? Anitya shuchi dukkhanatmasu nitya shuchi sukhatma khyatir vidya. Anitya shuchi dukkhanatmasu nitya shuchi sukhatma khyatir vidya. What is asmita? Drukadarshan shaktyorekatmateva smita. Drukadarshan shaktyorekatmateva smita. What is raga? What is dvesha? Sukhanushai ragaha. Dukkhanushai dveshaha. Sukhanushai ragaha. Dukkhanushai dveshaha. So here raga is not anger, it is attachment, strong likes. And then what is abhiniveshaha? Swarasavahi vidushopi tatharudhobhiniveshaha. Swarasavahi vidushopi tatharudhobhiniveshaha. So here we will stop today. Is there anyone to having questions or want to share anything?
Katki, I was just wondering, in Patanjali's sutras, where does he speak about like the gunas or like nirguna? I noticed he used a different term. Is it because that one is more noted or acceptable?
Sorry, I'm not getting what you're saying. What is your question?
Yeah, I noticed no mention was made about like the gunas. Is it does that come in a different sutra or not?
Gunas.
Yeah,
Yeah, they will
yeah.
come later.
Oh, yeah, because I noticed like, like niriti wasn't used, there was another word. So I found that was interesting.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so far he has not talked about any gunas. Okay, so it is all about the states of samadhis and the kleshas and various practices for a sadhaka to perform. All right. Anything else? Okay. So then the next session will be on 14th of June. That is the second Saturday. Yeah. So we'll end the session with the Shanti mantra. Please close your eyes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. So thank you so much for joining in, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
It
Bye.
was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Ketik.
I personally myself feel
Yeah.
the klesha topic is the most important one,
Mhm.
because on day-to-day basis we go through these kleshas, and if we
Yeah.
are aware and have good knowledge of this, and again tapaswadhyaya ishwar pranidhan, the methods of overcoming these kleshas.
Yeah, the study is really, really interesting. Like, how he presents these things.
Yes,
It,
yes,
it leaves you with a depth of understanding, even if you don't know like all the terms. After this session, it just, brings a
yeah,
rest. Yeah.
agree.
Thank you, Ketki.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
Ketki. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Bye bye.